I waited in a stark meeting hall, clutching a worn-out shawl as my relatives divided my grandfather's wealth like scavengers on a fallen beast. Their mocking looks pierced sharper than the cold gripping my frame, yet they had no idea, and neither did I, that this ragged piece concealed a mystery that would transform my whole life. My name is Steve Harlan. I'm 35, seen as a wanderer by many, barely getting by in a tiny apartment over a thrift store in Tacoma. The hum of glowing signs lulls me to sleep. The smell of engine grease rouses me each day. I operate a fix-it shop for vintage radios, mending antiques that sputter with echoes from the past. My routines are unhurried, my evenings even more so, but my kin? They're charged with energy. Charged with riches, charged with disdain, charged with the confidence that stems from ignoring costs. It was the start of November when the phone rang. My grandfather, Arthur Harlan, had passed away. He was my guiding light, the sole one who didn't view me as an intruder in his heritage. His loss wasn't merely sorrow. It was a blade, severing me from the only individual who gave me a sense of belonging. The attorney's firm in Seattle was a bastion of luxury. Transparent partitions, polished metal tables, atmosphere heavy with the aroma of wood varnish and superiority. My Uncle Lawrence dominated the table's side, his satin necktie shining like a weapon. His children, Claire and Marcus, huddled nearby, their gazes keen as fresh coins. They had come to seize their portion of Arthur's $10 million realm. Me? I was present because I was summoned, a faint outline in their glare. The space resembled a tribunal, and I was the defendant, not a beneficiary. Claire's manicured nails swiped her device, her grin cutting when she looked over. Marcus bent ahead, smiling as if he'd already pocketed his share. Lawrence's glare was icier, as though he was figuring out how quickly he could dismiss me. I remained seated, fists tight, my faded plaid shirt inadequate against the ice in their stares. The attorney's tone was monotone, enumerating properties, apartments in Bellevue, investments, a boat. Then he paused, turned to me, and announced to Steve Harlan Arthur bequeaths his aged silk shawl. Giggles shattered the silence. Claire's was sharp like shattered glass. A shawl, she remarked, tone laced with poison. Hope it warms you up while we're in Dubai. Marcus snickered. Pawn it. Could buy you a drink. Lawrence stayed quiet, just gazing, his muteness a mallet pounding the spike further. I held the shawl, its tattered borders coarse on my skin. It was presented in a plush container like a prize, but it struck like a blow. Why would he choose this? Arthur, who showed me how to repair radios, who quietly gave me $50 for overdue bills. He bestowed this on me? As I prepared to depart, my finger grazed a lump in the material, something solid, unusual. My pulse jumped, but their attention was fixed, anticipating my collapse. I maintained a neutral expression, exited, the shawl nestled under my arm like a rescue line. Back in Tacoma, I flung the shawl onto my work table, its mass mocking me. My place was shadowy, the sort of gloom that sticks like moldy dampness. I walked back and forth, their words resounding. Pawn it. Drink, Dubai. I felt like shouting, reaching out, but to whom? My father perished when I was 8, and Arthur was the only relative who didn't regard me as a parasite. Companions. Merely patrons who mumble when I return their devices. I was isolated with this shawl, this insult, this puzzle. I dropped onto a chair, eyeing it. The silk was discolored, marked by age, but it bore his fragrance, pipe smoke and damp wood, reminiscent of his lodge where we'd worked deep into the evening. I traced my digits across the cloth, and there it was once more, that firm bulge stitched securely. My heartbeat raced. I seized a blade, fingers shaky, and sliced the threads. A small, aged bag emerged, closed with sealant, my name carved in Arthur's rough handwriting. I cracked it apart, and the opening sentence struck me like a jolt. Steve, you are my guiding star, but that was only the beginning. The bag wasn't merely a message. It was a gateway to a reality I couldn't comprehend. Arthur detailed accounts, concealed from the relatives, secured under my identity. Nobody else was aware. Not Lawrence, not Claire, not Marcus. My limbs quivered so intensely I almost ripped the document. This wasn't simply correspondence. It was an explosive trigger released in my grasp. I scanned it once more, every term aflame. He'd entrusted me with something vast, but I couldn't access it immediately. There were procedures, a liaison, a safe I'd never known about. Rest evaded me that evening. Their jeers plagued me, but now they mixed with Arthur's tone. You are my guiding star. Why select me? Why conceal it this way? I strolled to the nearby market, the shawl crammed in my sack, its burden denser than metal. The clerk, Rosa, passed my beverage and eyed it. That's an antique, she commented, partly grinning. I dismissed it, but her remark hurt. Rubbish to them, perhaps, but to me it was an enigma that refused to fade. Back in my space, I gazed at the bag. A portion of me desired to burn it, remain unseen, evade whatever this mystery required. But another segment, the one recalling Arthur's roughened palms directing mine across a wiring panel, urged me onward. I contacted the liaison, a lady named Ellen Voss, my speech faltering as I stated, "I believe my grandfather entrusted something to me." Her pause lingered excessively. "See me tomorrow, Steve. We've been safeguarding this for you." Safeguarding this? My stomach nodded. What lay ahead? The following day, I occupied Ellen's workspace, a messy area reeking of print and aged flooring. Nothing resembling the Seattle skyscraper where my kin reveled. She slid a folder toward me, her gaze firm yet compassionate. Arthur was precise, she explained. He understood wealth corrupts individuals. He viewed you as unique. I flipped open the folder and my respiration halted. Deeds, profiles, figures that clouded my sight. Millions exceeding my relatives' holdings, a residence in Portland, a retreat in the Cascades. Resources accumulating quietly over time. My speech broke. This can't be real. It is, Ellen affirmed. He picked you. Solely you. I leaned rearward, torso constricted, vision blurring. All those years I believed I was insignificant. The person who didn't belong, the one they ridiculed. Now this was evidence I meant everything to him, but the pressure, the funds, the obligation bore down like a clamp. Could I handle this? Would it convert me to their kind? My pulse thumped. I was balancing on an edge and uncertain if I could jump. Then Ellen presented another message. One Arthur had composed solely for me. I opened it, limbs trembling, and perused. Steve, I granted them the holdings to observe them suffocate on it. Avarice decays the essence. But you valued me when I was merely an elderly fellow with a broken device. This is my genuine inheritance, stashed for you. Because you'll build, not devour. The surroundings shifted. He hadn't merely provided riches. He'd offered his confidence, his honesty, his essence. The holdings, the millions my cousins flaunted like banners. A diversion, an examination they were failing. The actual treasure, his hidden assets, his conviction in me belonged to me. I held the message against my torso, drops falling, and murmured, "I'll honor you." That shawl, the one they derided, was his ultimate present. Not valueless, priceless. A container for a mystery only I was destined to reveal. I carry myself taller now, not due to the funds, but for his faith in me. My cousins, they're disintegrating. Their millions vanishing like vapor, me. I'm establishing vocational centers, a program for young people, an existence that reflects him. But I still ponder. If you'd been in that chamber, humiliated, holding nothing but a tattered shawl, would you have clung to it? Would you have sensed the lump and ventured to slice it? Tell me, what would you have done?